Hello,
Hi,
Kayla Lords
John Brownstone.
of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We're back to answer a question. This time from a kinkster who just moved in with their long distance partner, and things are not going the way they expected. Yeah.
Those nasty expectations.
Yeah. Things always change from long distance to in person.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into the question.
Okay.
I've been with my baby sub for about a year and up until the last 5 months. It's been long distance only. While things were long distance, things were extremely kinky and sexual to where I was afraid I wouldn't be able to keep up with how horny she is. Now, since we've been in person, the kink has been extremely minimal and sex has been made a limit. I have a pretty low sex drive and high kink drive, so I wasn't pushing sex much anyway. It's getting to be a fight between us, though, since I'm not feeling fulfilled kink-wise. Any ideas about how to find a good middle ground for both of us?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I know for us, after we moved in, we had to step back
Completely.
completely. And
When we say that, we mean no power exchange.
Correct.
Certainly nothing
Yeah.
sexual. It's too stressful for that.
yeah,
yeah.
we pretty much had to step back from anything kink and sexually related, and we had to take some time to regroup. Is basically what it was. Because I know for us, I don't know if it's the same with them. I know when we lived together, there was a fairly good distance of a move.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And-
picked up my life and my children's lives and moved in.
Right. So, that didn't help any either. I don't know if, something like this is the same case, but, sometimes you kind of need to just step back and, put everything on hold. Work on the fact of that you're now living together.
Right. And what that just looks like logistically.
Right. And as you start building your new norm, because that's probably what a good part of this is, you're both out of your element.
Everything is different now.
Right. Cattywampus, as they would say. So, just step back and let the kink and the sex, table it for right now, and just get a new normal. And then you can start talking about adding the kink and other things back in.
I mean, I agree completely. A couple things that come to mind. Did y'all have a conversation about why she wanted sex to be a limit right now? Because if you didn't have the conversation about why, not that she is required to justify herself, that's not what I'm talking about, but if she's not had the opportunity to tell you what's going on in her head and how she's feeling and what she's feels like she's going through and how she's adjusting and whatever the changes were, then that's a lot of information you don't even have to know how to interact. Second, and this is not everybody, and it tends to be gendered, but it's not necessarily, so I'm just gonna just blanket say this. Be careful that you did not, with sex, now that it's a limit, hopefully you're not at all, but with kink as well, coming across as applying some level of pressure. You might not think you are, but I know from my experience in previous relationships, and this was with sex, not kink, I knew when they wanted sex, insert kink for you. I knew when my partner wanted sex and I didn't want to do it. So I would say, no, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm not into it, whatever I needed to say. And then I not only knew when they were disappointed, I then knew when they acted like they thought they were being nice or they were being chill about it, but they were applying subtle pressure. Are you sure? What about tomorrow? Well, don't ask me about tomorrow today if I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I don't want to make those kinds of promises. So, it's understandable that you're like, hey, wait, where did the level that we were experiencing long distance go? I have needs too. I would like to have them be met. It makes sense that you might think that you're pushing in order to encourage, but oftentimes that can come across as pressure. And depending on how your partner, how they become aroused, whether they are a person where it's direct, like you say something about it and they're like, yes, let's go, or they're a person that needs to be warmed up and work into it. I am that kind of person. If my emotional needs are not being met. I don't want to be physical. And that's sex or kink, doesn't matter. So you need to, you personally need to take a step back and look at how you've been behaving in trying to get your own needs met. And one, decide for yourself, could that have come across as a high pressure situation or unintentionally? Hopefully, I'm giving you the total benefit of the doubt here. Hopefully it's all unintentional, that you haven't been guilting them or, making them feel bad about whatever. So start there. But second, if you are not already in deep conversation with one another, not about when are we going to fuck again, when are we going to get kinky again, those kind of conversations, if they come up organically in the conversations I want you to have, cool. But mostly the conversation needs to be, where's your head at? How are you doing? Depending on who moved, like if she moved to you, that means she picked up a portion of her life. I don't care if it was 5 minutes away or it was 5 hours away or it was 5 countries away.
That's still a big life change.
That's a change that person made to be with you. Now, if you made the change and you went to her, then she still has her own adjustments because now there's a new person in her life that wasn't there before. So you seem to be feeling mostly chill about everything. If you're not, you need to talk to her about that. And when I say everything, I mean the move. But you need to be talking to your partner about, how are you feeling about the change? That we've made in our lives. Is there anything that's working or not working? Now, it will be on your partner to open up and talk to you about that. And hopefully they feel like they can be vulnerable in that way, that they can be honest with you, that they can tell you maybe hard truths since they're submissive, my first thought goes to they're afraid of disappointing you. And I don't know that for a fact. We know nothing about them as a person or your relationship, but knowing submissives, that's a common one. They don't want to disappoint you. That I'm proud of them for being able to go, this is a limit I have, and I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fair to you to not have any direction on what's going on and where this is coming from. And if there's anything they need from you or anything you can do to help them or whatever, you both need to be talking about this.
Right. One thing that helped us in the beginning was we had regular check-ins.
Yes.
Where we would just go off, get away from the house, the kids, and we would just go sit somewhere and we'd talk about where each of our heads were at. And
those are always a good thing, and I think more people should do them more often, even in long-term established relationships. The thing you have to understand is it was not that we never talked about our relationship in the in-between. It was that those conversations were never really in-depth and meaningful. It was the passing, I had to, do my professional thing. I was building a freelance business at the time. JB had to go off to work. He had family responsibilities because I had moved to him. So there was not a lot of time for consistent, constant, in-depth questions. It had to be that, how are you doing? I'm good. Or, JB would check in with me, and what I might say on a random Tuesday is, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling a little stressed. And he'd go, oh man, is there anything I can do for you? And we'd have these quick conversations, these very tiny little check-ins, just like you would do with a partner you freaking care about and are communicating with. But those weekly check-ins were when we went to, it was usually coffee, but we were in a corner somewhere where we could just focus on each other. And I was like, he would go, oh, you said you were really stressed the other day, or you were really overwhelmed. Can you talk to me more about that? Or I would go, hey, here's some things that have come up for me that I didn't have time to talk about earlier this week. Here's where I'm struggling as a submissive. Here's where I'd love something a little bit more than I'm getting from you. So you don't never speak when you incorporate a check-in. It's just those are a little bit more surface level, or they're immediate things that have to be figured out kind of in the moment. And then the check-ins are for okay, let's dig deep. Yeah. Let's get serious.
Let's get under the hood.
Right. And, for us, it was not too long after we adjusted to living together and got our power exchange sort of back on track, that we didn't need weekly check-ins.
No.
We would do weekly coffee dates because we just wanted to. We were parenting young children. We wanted to get the hell out of the house when we could. But, that's an overtime thing. That's the other thing I would say. You're talking about the sex and the kink. If you have a power exchange, what does that look like since y'all moved in. And I say that because the reason we stopped everything, one, we had some outside stressors from the move we didn't anticipate, but we overwhelmed ourselves with what we thought our power exchange was going to look like. We had made all these plans pre-move of what we wanted it to be. We knew it was going to be different, so what did we want to do? Then on basically day 1 and 2, tried to implement everything.
Crashed and burned hard.
I was completely overwhelmed. I in no way felt submissive. I was just like nervous and anxious and scared and just like didn't think. I mean, you start questioning, am I even a capable adult anymore? I don't know. And what we needed was to just stop all of that, to just be two people learning how to live with one another. So that's another thing to consider. Did you go in too hard, too fast in the beginning, and one or both of you are overwhelmed? It sounds like your submissive would be the overwhelmed party here. So that's another thing to think about, and that's just a question to ask. Have you been feeling overwhelmed? Is there something that feels like it's too much? What do we need to modify? If your partner is not the type to easily and in detail tell you all the things that are bothering them, you're probably going to have to pull that out of them. If they struggle to talk, to say it out loud, encourage them to like type it up in a Google Doc, right? Send you an email. Do it through text, whatever will make it easier for them to say what they need to say.
Whatever manner of communication is easiest for them.
Right. And you need to be thinking about the same thing. If you're struggling to say what you need to say, or you're worried about pushing too, hard too fast, or upsetting them, or crossing a line, like those are things that you are allowed to, and I would highly encourage you to be honest about, because it's not just submissives that have their fears and concerns and get overwhelmed. Doms do too. Doms tend to take on the responsibility of trying to keep the train going, and sometimes you need to pause, you need to stop, you need to take a break, but you need to be honest with your partner about how you're feeling about everything. Now, I want to end this, if you don't have anything else you would add to this, I'm going to end this on the thing I never like to say, but I think it has to be said, as hopefully it's not what's happening here. But I just feel it'd be wrong to not admit that this is what could be happening. It is entirely possible, I hope not, that y'all were better off long distance than in person. That whatever it was about long distance worked better for one or both of you. It's entirely possible that there are incompatibilities that you could not know until you were moved in together. Yeah. I hope it's not that. I really hope it's a communication and a confidence and an overwhelm problem, and not this is not how I thought this was gonna go. You can't force anybody to tell you anything. You cannot push too hard, because you can't make somebody talk to you if they're not willing to talk to you. But I completely and totally encourage you to please make sure your submissive knows that they are safe to tell you whatever it is they need to tell you, even if it is a hard thing. Yeah. And I can understand, being excited to move in, having the reality of it moving in, it not matching up with what you thought it would be, and figuring out, maybe this was not the best thing for me, and then never wanting to say anything, but now you're stuck living in your misery because you think you can't say something because you're going to disappoint the other. Like, I hope it's the other stuff. I hope it's the stuff we've experienced. I hope it's that. Right. But I'm not going to, sugarcoat that it couldn't possibly be that things are not working the way your partner pictured it, and that is part of the problem. And it's not a thing that can be overcome. So start with the other stuff, unless, if I said that and your spidey senses started tingling, that's your intuition telling you something. But if you don't think it's that, start with the other, Absolutely make sure you're not pressuring, even unintentionally. Correct. Do everything you can to encourage conversation and to be open. It is on your partner to be open with you, but it is on you to be a safe space for them to be willing to be open with you. That goes on both sides of the slash. That's not just a dom thing. Both partners need to do that for each other, back and forth. And make sure you're not trying to do too much too soon. Put everything on pause if you need to. That's the gist of it. And then if none of that seems to be it, or seems to be, ask the hard question. Is this where you want to be? Is this right for you?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll suck. I'm not saying it won't, but
Yeah.
much better to figure out early-ish
Than
than
later.
have years go by.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we're ending on a sad note, and I'm sorry, but that's that on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our individual experience with going from long distance to moving in, and that's the frame of reference we tend to come from. So if you have your own experience and you've gone through something like this, maybe it wasn't just, going long distance to in person. Maybe it was just a moment in time where sex and or kink had to be off the table for you. What advice would you offer? What are your experiences? What did you need that you were not receiving? What kind of conversations did you end up having that helped, or at least, made the problem go away, whatever the case may be? Please feel free to share in the comments below. Yeah. If you enjoy this, even though it ended on such a down note, love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And go ahead and ring that notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. And if you really like what we do, want to help us keep doing it and get extra content and extra fun stuff like access to our Discord server that you can't get anywhere else, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/KaylaLords, or the link is down below.